Hi, this is Toroki Fransson. I would like to talk a little bit about zero friction deployment. This name is something that I have invented myself. So, friction, what is it? It's something that turns forward momentum into heat. Good for some things, but not for what we want to do. To illustrate the concept, I will talk a little about a team that I helped recently. They are a development team for a property ad site. They are about 20 heads strong. As many other startups, they use cloud services. Pivotal Tracker for planning and control, GitHub for the source code, and the Amazon Web Services as infrastructure. They also had Jenkins. Their deployment process had grown organically to fit their needs. It started with a developer pushing code to Git and then asked to have it merged to a develop branch. When the code was merged, there was a Jenkins job that could be triggered manually to deploy the code on a test server called CI. If the codes seemed to work, one of the senior devs merged or cherry-picked code to the master branch and then deployed it on another server named staging. And from staging, it could then be deployed into production. Each step in itself not very difficult, but it required some concentration on the engineer's part. Lots of friction though. To learn the status of a certain story required digging in the Git history and the Jenkins logs. So the PM had to ask at least one, usually 2 or 3 devs, what the status of a story was, repeatedly. This not knowing plus having a nagging PM all the time led to insecurity about what was really being tested, and to make matters worse, the test environments were very unstable. The CTO at one point said, "I hate my CI environment." But the absolute worst was that the deployment process relied on a select few devs. If they were not there that day, the team could not release. A year ago, I was at the keynote where I was introduced to the magnificent concept of zero friction shopping. I thought, that's a concept that I can use in my profession. I work as a consultant helping dev teams reach their goals. I do everything from installing Linux servers to teaching extreme programming. I started my own consulting company, LineFeed, to focus on helping dev teams using cloud services, infrastructure as code, and continuous delivery. I wanted to turn this team's whole deployment process into a series of zero friction decisions. One should see all relevant information on the screen and then be able to click, yes, I want to test this story, or yes, I want to deploy this story to production. Exactly like zero friction shopping. Here I've Googled for a smartwatch. I can see a picture of the product, I can see the price, I can see the vendor. That's all I need. Click, bought. Google knows who I am and where I live. They have my credit card number, so they can just tell the vendor to send the thing to my house. I created no new user interfaces for this. The devs work against GitHub as before, and the PMs work against Pivotal Tracker like before. The difference now is that things happen behind the curtains, doing things that previously a person had to do. For instance, when the devs push the code for a story, Jenkins wakes up and runs a unit test. If that succeeds, Jenkins then proceeds to creating a new test environment for functional testing. And if that's okay, Jenkins marks the story as finished and inserts the information the PM and the devs need for the coming steps in the workflow into the story as a comment. Just click on the link to start testing or to begin a code review. The whole chain of events is triggered by GitHub webhooks. One configures what should happen when the code or its status changes. And then Jenkins reacts to these calls from GitHub and builds, tests, and creates resources in AWS. It talks to Pivotal Tracker and it feeds back information about what's going on into GitHub. This whole machinery is about 1,000 lines of script and YAML. Having a machine do all the complex tasks enables us to have this very simple view of things. Stories are started, finished, and delivered. And we can follow their progress and move them along by the click of a mouse. I asked the PM what his thoughts were on the new process when we were done, and he said, "There's a greater visibility. There's no need to find someone to ask. We can validate functionality now, since test environments actually work. But most important, the process is much faster now. It's almost real time." So this team, they've gone from a few painful releases each week to several painless releases every day. The complete process, the complete flow from started to delivered is about a half hour. The same concept can be applied to many different toolsets, not just Pivotal, GitHub, and Amazon. I've done similar things using CloudStack, vSphere, Jira, Stash, and even Travis. If you want something similar, you know where to find me. Thank you.